everybody. Welcome to Creative Edge YouTube channel. I am Muskan Mulchandani. In the last class, we did a few tips on how to get rearrangement of sentences or your parajumbles to the best of your ability. Today, what we are going to do is we are going to do a couple of sentences, different kinds of sentences that you might encounter while you are taking up any competitive exam in the parajumble section. All right, let's go through them. The first one is a four-part sentence, an easy one. When we are doing these kind of sentences, what we need to pay attention to is that, like we discussed in the last class, there is usually a hero in the sentence, which would be the noun, most probably. If you have seen that video, I'm sure you will be able to recollect what I'm talking about. When we read these sentences, you will get a clearer idea as to what I'm talking. A says concept used when. B says philosophy of technology. C says technological somnambulism is a. D says talking about the. Now, let me just point out to you that there might be certain words that you might not know the meaning of. Like, for example, in the C option, technological somnambulism. Probably it's Greek or Hebrew to you. That's okay. You need not pay attention to vocabulary at this point. What matters is your approach to the questions. All right. Now let's just address it as TA for TS for clearer, just so that we can avoid any confusion. Out of the four sentences, which one do you think carries the hero? Yes, you're right. It is option C because it is talking of TS, something is being talked of, which the entire sentence revolves around. So that is probably our hero and our introductory sentence. Okay. Now let's take a little different approach over here. What we used to do while we were at school was we used to read all the 4-5 sentences which were given down to us. But what we are going to do here is going to be a wee bit different than what we usually do. We'll go by the options, see what the options say, and try and use process of elimination to get to the right answer. Now, why we are doing this approach is because this is our guarantee to secure maximum marks in the minimum time involved. While we are at it, let's go to it. So we have options C, A, and B. So we are not going to be reading the D sentence for now. Concept used when philosophy of technology and technological somnambulism is a. Well, like we all realized, C does make more sense than B or A for that matter. Let's check out the options A and B. C says, now they have done a little bit of our homework for us. C and A are the ones that are the only options available. So, technological somnambulism is a concept used when. Now, should it be D or should it be B that follows A? When philosophy of technology is the B option. Do you think that there is any connect between when and philosophy of technology? I don't think so. But yes, there is definitely a connect between talking about the, which is sentence D. Yes, so you're right. Your answer has to be CADB. Easy, wasn't it? I'm sure it must have taken you a minute to go through that, but that is only because we are new at this. And once you get the hang of doing it by yourself, this is going to require less time and ensure more marks. Let's go to the next question. All right. In the next question, you will see that a little bit of our work is done for us. Now, the question says, like most people. Now, when there is a talk about people, what would follow? They have to be talking about some kind of people. So, our introductory sentence is most definitely going to start with the sentence, the letter Q. Now, we have directly chucked off two options starting with R. And our answer is between the two, Q, the first option or the third option. Let's see what it says next. QP and QS are how we can go about it. Entrepreneurs are complex and no one theory, or entrepreneurs are complex, all of their behavior. Don't you think that the P is a very abrupt add on to the Q1? Yes. So it has to be QSRP, our third option. Easy. 30 seconds, wasn't it? Let's go to the next one. The majestic mahogany table. Now we're talking of the table. So naturally, what is going to follow next is going to be something about the table. All right. The options are P, start with PQ, PQ. Great. Now let's read the P and Q options first. It says the majestic mahogany table belongs to an old prince. Definitely. The majestic mahogany table, which has one leg missing. Definitely. I think both the options here go with our introductory first sentence. Okay, so they can both be the introductory sentence, right? Now let's see what the rest of the sentence says. Who is impoverished? What are they talking of here? They're talking about the prince, but not without some pride. Did you remember? Do you remember when we were doing a couple of tricks in the earlier slides? We did something like this. We did encounter something like this. Yes. The keywords that we were doing had a word but, where we were talking of contrasting ideas. Yes. So R and S definitely will come together. The reason being they are talking of the same person, that is the prince. So our options that go have to be like this. The majestic mahogany table, which has one leg missing, belongs to an old prince who is impoverished but not without some pride. 20 seconds. That's it. Yes. So the next question in this line is, all right, as per the options, we have three choices, R, P, and Q. And a little bit of our work is done for us, wherein it has been fixed. The students know that. That is the sentence, the part of the sentence that is fixed. All right. Now the students know that it has to be to control the unruly students. The students know that in the college administration, or the students know that their new principal. Obviously, like we did it in the tips while we were discussing rearrangement of sentences, we know that pronouns are always preceded by nouns. Yes. So when we are talking of their new principal, it is being talked of the student's new principal. Okay. So our options that we have are lessened or shortened down to option number 1 and 2. Their new principal has taken a number of strong measures, because S is the one that follows in both the options. Now, does it have to be Q first or P first? Number of strong measures to control the unruly students and in the college administration. Now, please remember this kind of a sentence, what our tendency would generally be to is fit in the option that goes. Now, you'll tell me, ma'am, in the college administration has taken a number of strong measures in the college administration is also fine, and has taken a number of strong measures to control the unruly students is also fine. But do remember that when we are doing these kind of sentences, what we need to take care of is that the part of sentence that we are talking of has to be closest to the person who is doing the action or where the action is happening. Now tell me, were the measures taken in the college administration or were the measures taken on the unruly students? The measures were taken in the college administration. Hence, your answer would be RSQP. All right, easy. Although these kind of sentences can be a little confusing if you let them be. Let's go on to the next one. Well, in this sentence, we are at S, Q, and R. We are left with S, Q, and R. So we are not going to be reading option P. Please realize that. Of many artists, were not always the successful ones cannot be there. Why? Because it is a dependent clause. Like we did it in the earlier slides, we know that a sentence cannot connect with dependent clause just like that. There has to be something there, right? Of many artists, but those with unique. Does it connect in any way? No. So we are left with only the option Q. All right. So let's continue this sentence and see how it connects. Those who impressed me the most were not always the successful ones. Who is being talked of here? Yes, you're absolutely right. The artists are being talked of here. But P, we never read P, the reason being it was none of the option given. So now that we are reading P, P makes more sense. And we know that S has to be preceded by R, which means the sentence should end with S followed by R, which is the option that we have that option in. That is our correct answer. Easy? Let's move on to the next question quickly. Now, this is a little different than what we usually do. What happens in this one is S1 and S6 are the two fixed sentences. And what we are left with is P, Q, R, and S. Now, what is the jumbled part is the P, Q, R, S sentence. Okay. What we have to do is our work is made easy here because we have to fit a sentence with sentence 1 and fit a sentence with sentence 6. All right. The first sentence says, S1 says, in the middle of one side of the square sits the chairman of the committee, the most important person in the room. It's natural that when we read this sentence, we know that the hero in that sentence is the chairman. So, what should be following the sentence that comes next? We should be having something that talks about the chairman. Like we discussed in the earlier slides, after an introduction of an idea happens, the next sentence will usually talk about the continuation of that idea. All right. Now let's go for the options. PQRS, we have all the four options here. So now what we need to look for is which one of the option talks about the chairman. For a committee, excuse me, let's stop there. For a committee talks about the committee here, right? So we need not continue reading with the sentence P because that's not what we are looking for. On him rests much of the responsibility. Yes. Now, this can be the sentence that follows. The reason being, it talks about him being the chairman of the committee. While this is happening, now this here would talk about an event, not the person that is the chairman. So let us ignore this sentence for the meanwhile. As the meeting opens, he runs briskly through a number of formalities. Oh, yes, this definitely can also be one of the sentence that the paragraph starts with. Our options are now shortened between C and D. Okay, let's see what S6 has to be proceeded with. From the moment its members meet, it begins to have a nebulous life of its own. Now, from the moment its members, do remember, just like we had nouns and we were looking for pronouns in the first sentence, now we have a pronoun. Shouldn't we be looking for the nouns pertaining to it? Yes, we should be. Now, its members meet is being talked of about the committee, which is only talked of in sentence P. So our answer is sorted. We have D as our answer. Easy, no? Yes. Let's go on to the next question quickly. In this case, the first sentence says, for some time in his youth, Abraham Lincoln was manager for a shop. So it's natural that we will be talking of Abraham Lincoln in the next sentence. Let's read the options. The options say S and Q. S says he used to lie full length on the counter of the shop, eagerly reading a book. Yes, it is talking about Abraham Lincoln. Q says young Lincoln's way of keeping shop was entirely unlike anyone else's. Now, when you read both the sentences, they both talk about Lincoln. But did you notice that S1 talks of Lincoln's ability as a manager, which is continued in the idea sentence Q talks about young Lincoln's way of keeping shop was entirely unlike anyone else's, which means that now our options are shortened down to B and D. Let's see what it ends with. Never before had Lincoln had so much time for reading as he had then. All right. Now, if you see this, it has to be something that talks about his reading habits. Okay. He used to lie full length on the counter of the shop, eagerly reading a book, says sentence S. Lincoln would jump up and attend to his needs and then revert to his reading, says sentence R. Then a chance customer would come, says sentence P. Okay, now we are not reading sentence Q, the reason being we are sure that probably sentence 1 is followed by the sentence Q. Okay, now in both the cases, in option B as well as D, R is the one that the sentence ends with. That means that Lincoln would jump up and attend to his needs and then revert to his reading has to be followed by S6, which is never before had Lincoln had so much time for reading as he had then. Now, what do? We connect the pronouns in sentence R with the preceding nouns. They're talking of attending to somebody's needs. Do you know who the somebody is? It talks about that in sentence P, which is the customer, which means your answer should be option B.